that the object is three-dimensional. The next video is even more extraordinary. It was recorded in August 1991 by a Japanese colleague who accompanied Russian astronauts Volkov and Krikalev on their mission. Initially, the images show the shuttle bringing supplies to the Mir space station. Then, the video camera catches a glowing object that stands out clearly against the dark space outside. The object seems to move, but this is actually due to the unsteady hand of the person recording the video. Later, the footage moves for a few seconds to the Earth's surface. When the camera returns to the glowing object filmed previously, we see that its distance from the planet has decreased, and it is quickly approaching our atmosphere. It then disappears, definitely into the faint light. The maneuver demonstrates that unidentified flying objects enter into our atmosphere. It was the first time such a clear video showing this kind of event had been recorded. Specialists at the Russian Mission Control Center call these phenomena anomalies, a word that actually makes many significant implications. In this extraordinary footage, we find ourselves inside Moscow's Mission Control Center. We can see the Russian space station projected on the giant screen. The video camera filming it is on the American space shuttle Discovery, and it's filming the moment of separation from the Mir, which holds the astronauts Vladimir Solovyov and Nikolai Budarin. The large map shows the orbital route followed by the space station, which was near the coasts of South America at the time. At one point, the person filming in the control center turns the video camera toward the large screen to film a scene that seems truly unbelievable. We see a glowing, pulsing sphere coming from the lower right, fly sideways along the side of the orbit station, and immediately afterward, another sphere moves downward on the right-hand side of the screen. Then, on the right-hand side again, two further spheres appear, one above and one below, slowly moving across the field of vision. In the top left light panel, we can read the date and time, 18th of November 1995, at about 12:22. Finally, yet another spherical object appears from above, flying not far above the space station. The Russian Space Agency can give no real explanation regarding the nature of these spheres, which, as we've noted, they very concisely call anomalies. The video we're about to see was recorded by an American researcher who prefers to remain anonymous for security reasons. A UFO research enthusiast who has managed to install 4 powerful satellite dishes in the courtyard of his home. He intercepted transmissions made during the shuttle's joint mission with the Mir space station. The images are astonishing. As the shuttle docks and separates from Mir, several pulsating objects can be seen twirling near the earthly shuttles. The maneuvers that many of these objects make suggest that they are vehicles equipped with an autonomous propulsion system, and that they cannot be man-made satellites, meteors, space debris, ice fragments, or anything of the kind. Their sudden acceleration or sharp halting movements seem to demonstrate that these vehicles may be built with technologies unknown to us. This incredible document is from mission STS-84 of the American space shuttle Atlantis. Here we see the entire filmed sequence. We can make out part of the shuttle's hull and Mir in the distance. As the video camera reduces the field of vision, we note a group of objects moving away from the Russian station. As the camera continues to zoom in, 2 further objects appear, making a diagonal trajectory from the lower right to upper left. The larger object comes rather close to Mir. Then, another sphere emerges on the right, following the same trajectory of the previous ones. Immediately afterward, we note a white sphere in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, followed by other, smaller and faster objects. When this first group is about to move off-screen, the shuttle's video camera moves downward, filming another group of objects that have moved toward Mir in the meantime. As we can see, the largest of the three objects halts its course and, accelerating slightly, it changes direction, moving more vertically than before. Finally, a new, glowing, pulsing sphere arrives from below. As soon as it enters the field of vision, it changes direction and speeds up. Immediately afterward, this craft is followed by a smaller object. And then by a second, which flies out from beneath the space station. We'll now see the most important phases of this extraordinary sequence, enlarged and at different speeds, to show the maneuvers more clearly. Naturally, one would think that if these were flying detritus or meteors, their number, frequency and proximity to Mir would be a constant danger to the life of the astronauts on board, and to the integrity of the space station itself, such that it would be advisable to return to Earth. If this didn't happen, it may mean that many of the objects we've just seen are of an entirely different nature. According to the most recent scientific research, there is a direct link between light spheres and crop circles. In addition to statements made by various witnesses, there are videos in which we see these little white spheres floating above the fields where these fascinating designs have appeared. Of all the documents showing these objects, the one that has caused the most sensation is the video in which we can see spheres flying over a wheat field. In just a few seconds, a design looking like a snowflake appears in the field. The video was recorded at 5 o'clock in the morning on August the 11th, 1996 by John Wabley, an English crop circle enthusiast near Oliver Castle in England.
This is amazing.
There has been much controversy regarding the authenticity of this video, but careful analysis conducted by the American investigator Jim Diletoso, an expert in computerized video analysis, found no trace of falsification.
The key thing is that if the Oliver's Castle image was made digitally, that word digital says it went into a computer. In the vertical interval signal of the copy that we have, there is no evidence that it was ever digital format. So point of the story is I find no evidence of a hoax in the Oliver's Castle crop circle formation, and I find enough unique and interesting things to think that it very well could be real and should be studied further.
Other researchers have denied the authenticity of the video, but so far, no one has been able to provide valid evidence to support this argument. Furthermore, the design appearing in the video was real, and it had the features of true crop circles. However, according to the famous English crop circle scholar, engineer Colin Andrews, some doubts have been raised due to the strange behavior of the person responsible for the video.
So I am, unfortunately, as a researcher, not qualified in that field, simply to accept that Jim believes it, and others, it to be technically real, authentic, and yet the groundwork into the individual concerned is highly questionable, rather than I am so sorry not to be able to totally embrace it.
In any case, while waiting for a definitive verdict, the video gives us a visual idea of what happens in these cases, corresponding to the statements made by numerous reliable witnesses who have seen such a phenomenon take place.
Strange story. People tell about balls of light, whatever they are, flying around in crop circles, flying over the fields, and sometimes even creating crop circles.
Regardless of whether the video is authentic or a fake, one thing is certain: it illustrates what many people have observed throughout the world.
The videos we've seen so far show an astonishing reality unknown to most. These documents have emerged thanks to the investigations conducted by researcher Giorgio Bongiovanni.
I've been able to collect these videos and testimonies thanks to the cooperative relationship I've established with some of the leading ufological researchers and investigators throughout the world.
Io ritengo che il pubblico debba conoscere queste testimonianze e questi filmati.
I believe that the public ought to know about these testimonies and videos because today, after so much skepticism and disbelief, science is beginning to take these phenomena seriously, at least for study purposes.
Amongst the scientifically valid studies on light spheres and their relationship to the crop circle phenomenon, the recent work of Professor Elzio Hasselhoff is quite noteworthy. The professor is currently one of the leading scholars of the crop circle phenomenon. His research has analyzed the possible link between the deformations of the nodes in the wheat plants sampled from the crop circles and an electromagnetic source placed at a certain height above the wheat. The result of these analyses is displayed in this graph. Each vertical bar represents the average length of 20 steles in a specific area within the circle. The perfect symmetry in the graph is astonishing. The same exact correspondence was found in 3 further cross-sections within the circle. This is a highly significant discovery. The length of the nodes is perfectly symmetrical within the crop circle. It's circular in shape. This indicates that whatever mechanism created the crop circle also caused the nodes to lengthen. If this formation had been caused by simply flattening the wheat with an axle, as many think, there would be no reason for the nodes to grow progressively toward the center of the crop circle.
Every single plant has the same amount of sunlight, of water, of temperature, everything. So how does a plant somewhere in the center of the circle know that it is in the center of the circle? If you look at this distribution of thermal expansion of these plants, of the cells, you find that it perfectly matches the heat distribution that would be created by a little heat source, a spherical source of electromagnetic radiation, which would heat up the crop. Don't ask me how. The match is just perfect. And actually you can extract the height of this source from the distribution of this thermal expansion. And in one case the height corresponded to 4 meters and 10 centimeters, while the eyewitness said it was about 3 or 4 meters.
The measurements taken for the average length of the nodes have been discovered to correspond perfectly to theoretical values if the source of the radiation had been at a height of 4.1 meters above the plants. This finding perfectly fits the statements made by witnesses and the images shown in the Oliver Castle video.
And you find quantitative evidence which corresponds perfectly to what these people say. So at that point in time, you can't just ignore what these people say. You should at least pay attention to them.
Professor Hasselhoff has written an article giving details of identical results achieved in other crop circles. In the article, he arrives at the conclusion that the electromagnetic light spheres must be involved with the development of the crop circles. The article was published in Physiologia Plantarum, a scientific journal on plant physiology and biophysics. Thanks to this publication, the idea that the